Happening today in a Fond du Lac County courtroom, the man guilty of trying to burn down Congressman Glenn Grothman's office because of a potential ban of TikTok in the U.S. will be sentenced. 20-year-old Caden Stashwitz pled no contest after pouring gasoline onto the congressman's office and lighting a fire. During an interview with police, Stashwitz admitted that he started the fire because he did not like Grothman's he didn't like Grothman, after he voted yes on the federal banning of TikTok. This story drew national attention when first reported. While awaiting his sentence in the county jail, a deal for TikTok ended up coming together to keep the social media app available in the states. He'll be sentenced at 9 o'clock this morning.